Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Derek Long, the COO of LoanPass, and he's here to explain Loan Compass to you, which you can get a free trial of this secondary market research tool. So I'll pass it over to you, Derek.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you for those that are attending. Let me share my screen and we'll get right into it. All right, hopefully you can see that okay, Sarah?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So very few slides. We're going to mostly be in the tool, and this should be fairly quick and easy. As you can see, the picture we used here is slightly dated. This is back when I actually had hair. But what we're going to do here is introduce you a little bit to LoanPass first. So some of you may not be familiar with who we are as a company. And because it's both a company and a tool, there is both a who and a what to LoanPass. So we are an amazing group of people who come together from all over the country and love to work with our clients. And I know every business probably says that, but for us, it's actually true. We've been around for 5 years, and what we've built is a unique decisioning engine that also delivers pricing. We don't actually call ourselves a PPE, though usually we are, consider other PPEs to be our competitors. But calling LoanPass a PPE would almost be like taking those old phones that plugged into the wall with a landline and comparing it to your smartphone and calling both of them phones, which is technically true, but functionality is quite a bit different. So also with LoanPass, some unique things as far as the amount of different guidelines that we can put in it. So here's a list of some of what's in LoanPass, including things that aren't even mortgage related can go in there. We also, what's really fun with our clients is watching as we do customization of things that they want without needing engineering or SOWs or extra costs, things that can be handled in minutes while we're on the phone with them. And then finally, just to point out, we do have the new EPC integration into Encompass, and we've even enhanced that by having our own built-in tool within LoanPass to take your custom fields from Encompass and map them to your custom fields in LoanPass without needing any engineering involved. So hopefully that makes sense about the who and what of LoanPass. So now we're going to get into the heart of what we want to talk about today, which is LoanCOMPASS, a new tool that we've introduced here just in the past month. Before I get to the screen, I want to kind of present a scenario. I'm sure it's something that many of you may be familiar with. It's something that I got a lot of when I first got into the mortgage industry in the early 90s, and I was working in the secondary marketing department. And a loan officer would call me up and say, Derek, I just lost another loan because we don't have a product that does X. And it's a huge deal. We've got to have a loan option that will do whatever X is. And then they'd usually say, do you know of anybody that we can sell loans to that can be available to? And of course, the loan officer expect me to have, Rain Man-like capacity to memorize all of the guidelines for all the correspondent lenders in the country. And instead, they would usually get me that says, I don't know, or let me see what I could find out. And then would follow hours and weeks of searching and research to figure out which investor offers that kind of niche. So what we'd like to propose is with LoanCOMPASS, the end of that scenario can change a little bit. What you can do is say, hey, I'm glad you asked me that. Why don't you give me a little bit more detail on the loan detail of maybe this one that you lost? And while you open up LoanCOMPASS, you put in the details. And within a minute of talking to the loan officer, you can say, you know what? I can see that there are about 3 investors in the country that offer that niche. Let me talk with my team, figure out which one is the best fit, and we'll get back to you. And that's a very different scenario than the one I mentioned at the beginning. So that's what we want you to be able to accomplish with LoanCOMPASS. It should be able to help you to increase your loan volume. You should find more types of lending products, which especially in this environment would be very valuable. You can find niches that you didn't even know existed. You can really decrease the time spent looking for new lending options. And of course, you can dazzle and amaze your loan originator with your Rain Man-like encyclopedic knowledge of lending guidelines. So that's the kind of the why of LoanCOMPASS. So before we get into the tool, one more screen, helping to understand what is LoanCOMPASS and also what it is not. First of all, it's a research tool for secondary marketing and product development teams. It's definitely not for LOs. So we ask that you not give access to this to loan officers. Second, it's a unique version of LoanPass that only contains correspondent investors. So those that are buying closed loans, nothing wholesale in here. In addition, it only contains niche lending products like non-QM, jumbo, seconds, short-term financing, and DPA loan products. There are no agency, no Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or government loans in here. And we'll talk about why in just a little bit, in just a second. And then finally, and this is the biggest difference possibly, is that it contains eligibility and LLPAs, but not the actual pricing. So having understood that, hopefully it makes sense what it is. It's basically like the name conveys, it's a compass that's meant to point you in the right direction for new lending products, new investors that your company may want to offer. So having said all that, hopefully that makes sense. And what we'll do now is we will hop over to actually looking at the tool. Now, real quickly, just as for a point of comparison, I'm just going to show what a typical tenant of LoanPass looks like before I show you LoanCOMPASS. And I say typical because every version of LoanPass is a little bit different, as each client can change all the fields, what they're called, where they're at, that kind of stuff. But in a typical tenant, you'll have some loans that are approved, some that have data still required, and you can click on a link and it will take you to the next required field. And you'll have some that are already rejected. And by clicking on the product, and here's the big distinction here, you will see pricing. As you can see, here's the rates, here's the available prices with stipulations, pricing adjustments, the details. So that's the typical LoanPass. Now we're going to go into LoanCOMPASS, which is slightly different. So to use LoanCOMPASS, once you get a login, it'll bring you to this page, and there's two ways of using it. You can go in here and select mortgage type, you can select lien position, you can select each of the fields and put them in manually, or you can use kind of what we call these pre-canned scenarios that pre-fill in a bunch of the information for you. And in this case, I'm going to use this demo version. So by doing this, you can see that a bunch of the fields now have been automatically filled in. And now we are going to be able to get some responses. Okay, and in this case, we have 65 approved loans and 551 rejected loans based on the details that are here. Now, looking at the approved loans, we can see we've got a variety of investors, Flagstar and US Bank and Citibank and Flagstar and Plaza and whatnot. Now you can take this list and you can filter it. So if I, for example, am only interested in ARMs, if I type in the word ARM, my list just dropped down to 27 loans. And that may work for what I'm looking for, but you can also play with the details here to modify this list. So let's say I want to go crazy and figure out, I wonder if any of these guys will do credit scores down to 680 instead of 780. Now you'll see here, because LoanPass does not have a submit button, but every time you hit a field, it hits the engine and comes back. You don't have to do anything else. You wait a second, and now we just dropped our list from 65 to 30. Well, maybe that's still too big of a list. Let's increase our loan amount and see if from 70% to what would be 90% to see if anybody is able to do that. And what do you know? We have an investor, Flagstar as it so happens, that will do a second home jumbo 90% LTV with a 680 credit score. And by clicking then on the product itself, what we are going to find is this. Now, as I mentioned, what we don't have in here is the actual pricing. What we have displayed here is the cumulative value of all of the LLPAs, but these are the actual rates that the investors offer, okay? Now we're doing this initially because too many investors object when their pricing is shown to somebody they're not approved with. So what we're doing then is showing the cumulative value of the LLPAs. Now, what you can still do even when you're in the product itself, you can change the details here. So even though you can go to 680, that's probably not what's mostly going to happen. So if we change our decision credit score again to 780, what you'll see is here that the pricing is going, well, not the pricing, the LLPA value is going to change because of the higher credit score, and that gets reflected here. There's other changes that you can do. And for example, we could play with the DTI. So right now we're seeing that the highest rate has a 41 DTI. So what will happen if I lower my uh, income, which will then impact the DTI? And what you're going to see here is one way that LoanPass is pretty distinct from a PPE is instead of approving the entire product, we do approvals at each rate. And it looks like they have a rule that rejects for DTI above 55, because at 8 and 7/8 were approved and at 9% were rejected. So that gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do when you're playing with the scenario to get down to the nitty gritty details of what it is you're looking for and find out which investor and which product offers the niche that you want. Now, if you find something, and then you've got in each of these products here in LoanCOMPASS, a listing of who the investor is and how to reach out to them if you need it. And also a reminder that the pricing listed above is only the LLPA value, not the actual pricing. So don't go to them and expect to get a jumbo loan at 6 3/8 with a 3-point rebate. That's not what that means. So hopefully that makes sense. It's the same thing can be done. If you go to our scenario thing, we did a jumbo, the same thing could be done with non-QM. If you wanted to see who offers a non-QM 40-year term, you can change your scenario. We'll close the product there. And it looks like we've got 39 different investors that offer that. But right now, it's based on asset utilization as a doc type. If we want to change that to DSCR, we could see how many offer non-QM DSCR with a 40-year term, and we find we're down to one. New Res is the only one, at least in our grouping here, that offers this product, and you can see the details and what they offer. So that's basically the heart of LoanCOMPASS. It's designed to be a research tool to help you in your research to understand what investors are available, what niches maybe you may be able to offer to your loan originators, and make it much easier and quicker to find them. So Amy and Sarah, we had some questions maybe, and this is really the chance to open it up. If anybody have questions about the tool, and in the last few minutes, what I'm going to share is a couple of minutes of how to get access to LoanPass and maybe or LoanCOMPASS and some of the future of it. But any questions we want to answer?
I'm not seeing any in the chat, but for everyone
Okay.
listening in, drop in any questions that you might have about LoanCOMPASS, or I also dropped Derek's email address in there, so you can always reach out to him later as well. Oh, we have a
There's the
question
question.
from
Yep.
Mark Sanford. How
All
many
right. Good
investors
question, Mark.
are available to search from?
Right now, we've got 40 investors, correspondent investors that are built into LoanCOMPASS. 6 of them, however, have not been turned on yet. Because when we first got rate sheets and guidelines for those investors, they had to sign NDAs. So we're trying to make sure that they are okay if we display the information, even though we have an NDA. So those 6 haven't been turned on yet. So right now, technically 34. And more are coming. As we get more investors configured into LoanPass, that number will grow. Any other questions? All right. Well, feel free to ask any others. What I'm going to do then is split back to my presentation and talk a little bit more about where we plan to go with LoanCOMPASS and how it may be able to help you in the future. So first of all, currently it's free to use. So if you want access, there's no agreement, there's no cost, just let us know. But at some point in 2024, there will probably be a nominal cost to access. So just as a heads up. As I mentioned, more investors will continue to be added in the tool so that we can expand what is available and who is offered within it. More scenarios will continue to be added. As we find niches that we think are unique, we'll build scenarios that you can then go in and search and find. We also will probably be adding FHA, VA, and USDA later this year. Now, the main reason to do this, even though we're not showing the pricing, as most of you probably are aware, correspondent investors all vary across the board when it comes to their LLPAs on government loans. So this would be an opportunity to find possible LLPA niches instead of eligibility niches when those types of products are in there. And that would probably add quite a bit of the investors that are available, because we do have a number of correspondent investors that are not in LoanCOMPASS currently, just because they don't offer jumbo, non-QM, or seconds, or any of the other products. And I should add the DPA, we now have 3 national DPA correspondent investors that we just added this past week. So they are now included within LoanCOMPASS as well. In addition, as correspondent investors give approval, we hope to be able to start displaying pricing. So to begin with, no pricing is there. Oh, as far as agency options, there's another question I see from Chris. The reason we're not showing agency options right now is because there's no pricing. The eligibility for everybody is pretty much the same when it comes to the Fannie Freddie type stuff. So the point of this is to search for niches. There are some slight variances when it comes to LLPAs, but not enough to burden the system with thousands of other loan products that are just basically all variations of Fannie Freddie. So for right now, we're going to keep it to the niche lending stuff and possibly FHA, VA, and USDA. If we get more investors who are on board with this and are okay with us displaying pricing, then we may also add agency stuff if they're okay with their pricing being displayed. So we'll see as that goes forward. All right. We also plan to include more details on the correspondent investors so that when you are looking and doing some research, you will have information about them that will help you with your decision making. So that's kind of what we plan for later on this year or next year with LoanCOMPASS. But for right now, it's the introduction of the tool, and it's available to use right away if you're interested. So maybe the big question is, how do you get your free access to LoanCOMPASS? So first of all, very simple. Just send an email with your name to info@loanpass.io and say, I attended the TMC webinar and would love to get free access to LoanCOMPASS. So it's as simple as that. What you will do, well, let me clarify something. What we'd also like you to do is to indicate which of our reps you'd like to get back to you to confirm access with you. So this is kind of like, would you like rep from door number 1, Bill Mitchell, or would you like our rep in door number 2, Brad Dratzik, or would you like rep behind door number 3, Ed Rosina? I would be surprised if anybody doesn't know at least one of these guys. They've got great reputations and been in different places. So if you've got maybe this can be like an old high school, contest of popularity, and we can see who gets the most popularity votes. And if you don't know any of them, go off of their favorite smile or hairstyle or whatever you want to go with. But go ahead and tell us who you'd like to get back to you. You will actually then get a link in an email that gives you the ability to set your password and log in for the first time. So a couple of things when you do that. The link is only accessible for 72 hours. So if you delay, you may have to ask us to send it out again. And also it's case sensitive. So whatever your email is that you send us, it's going to be exactly that, case sensitive. So that's how you get access to LoanCOMPASS. And then it's just a chance to go in and offer, do some research, play with it, make it a little bit of a fun tool to dig in and find out who offers what. The only other thing I would say that we would ask is If you find a new correspondent investor that you want to get approved with, and you reach out to them to begin that process, please tell them that you used LoanCOMPASS, because the more that they are aware that we are helping to bring clients to them, the more likely they are to give us better access, more information, and LoanCOMPASS will become even more valuable. So that is the essence of LoanCOMPASS and what we're trying to share with LoanPass. Um, any other questions? I know this was actually scheduled for 30 minutes, but we're at 20, and that's the essence. Probably nobody minds getting 10 minutes back. But anything else anybody would like to ask?
If anyone thinks of a question later as well, feel free to email anyone here on the call. Derek's email is in the chat. And we'll also be sending out a follow-up email to everyone that is attending right now. You'll get a copy of the recording for this, and then you'll also receive some more information on LoanCOMPASS within that email as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much to the Mortgage Collaboratives for setting this up, and we're excited to be a part of TMC and be able to share this free tool for you guys for right now.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you to everyone who attended. And I hope you guys take advantage of this free trial while you have it.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks, guys. Everyone have a good day.